It is Lauren Leal with SalsaTV, and we are graced by the presence of the talented writer, director, actor, you name it, he's done it, Stephen Merchant. Thank you so much for being with us, Stephen.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So we're talking about your latest film, Fighting with My Family, and what a great film it is. We saw the screening last night. It's really about this true story. This girl from a small town, English town, wants to be WWE. She ultimately becomes the youngest diva in history. Talk to us about it, because this is kind of different than what you're normally working on. You've worked on serious films like Logan. You've worked on dry comedy, which is hilarious. The Office, one of my favorites. But what was it like working with and writing and directing and acting in Fighting with My Family?
Well, this movie began as a documentary that was on British TV, and I never saw it when it aired originally. The person that saw it and thought it could make a movie was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And Dwayne and I know each other from a while back. We did a movie together called Tooth Fairy, you're welcome. And and we stayed in touch over the years. We're gym buddies, as you can imagine. And he saw this documentary about this family, and they're this real crazy bunch of people, mum, dad, 3 kids, they all wrestle. And the family dream was to have their 2 teenage kids go to the WWE and become superstars there, which, as you imagine, as you know, in wrestling terms, that's as big as it gets, right? And so they went and did the auditions, but only the daughter, Paige, got signed. And she went off to America, 4,000 miles from home at the age of 18 to train with them. Brother got left behind. And so it's this really emotional sort of underdog story, a lot of humor, a lot of fun, because the family themselves are so charming and lovely. But at the core of it is this really heartfelt story about this girl kind of pursuing this dream and having to kind of, stay true to who she is and live this dream both for herself and for her family.
Now, let's talk about the family itself, because they are hoots. We saw some clips at the end of the film where they are so true. The cast was so fit to character in this. What was it like working with that biological family?
Well, I went to meet them in their hometown. They still wrestle in this little community. They'll go to a bar, they'll set up the ring, they'll do these matches, they'll take it down, they'll drive to the next place, which is one of the reasons why Dwayne responded to it initially, because that's Dwayne's background. That Dwayne Johnson started that way as well. So I went to meet them, I hung out with them. From the moment I met them, they were as kind of vivid and like crazy as they are in the movie. They're really warm, they love each other, they love wrestling, but they're kind of rough around the edges, They some of their language I had to clean up for the movie. I remember, I got to meet them, and Ricky, the father, said to me, I was in and out of prison about 3 times before the age of 21. And his wife, Julia, just goes, mainly violence. And you're like, wow, they just take, and like most people would be kind of embarrassed, but they're like, yeah, it was violence. He's just punching people, and they went to prison. They told me a story when I met them about how their son, Zach, met this girl, and they had to meet the girl's parents for the first time, and that's who I play in the movie, the dad. And their parents were very uptight, kind of more traditional English people, and they have to come in and meet this wrestling family, and they got like crazy tattoos and like shaven mohawk hair, and they're like, hey, how's it going? They welcome them in. The mum, Julia, said that she met this other girl's mother, and like the first thing she did was grab her boobs. Just like, hi!
What an introduction!
Right, and you imagine that. And so, I didn't even put that in the movie because I thought no one's going to believe that happened.
Yeah. But it did. That's a true story.
It happened.
Stephen, if you were in the ring a wrestler, what would your wrestling stage name be?
Well, Dwayne told me, I didn't know anything about wrestling before I started this movie. And it was
Oh, really?
No, I didn't know anything about it. And so it was important to me that we make a movie both for wrestling fans and for people that had never seen it before. And so I think of movies like Billy Elliot, which was about a kid who wanted to be a ballet dancer. You don't need to like ballet to like the movie, right? And so I wanted this to be a movie for fans of both fans who were wrestling fans and who aren't. So I had to spend a lot of time with Dwayne for him to educate me on this subject. And one of the things he told me was that, as a WWE superstar, you need to take who you are and kind of magnify yourself, dial yourself up to 100, and kind of convey that version of you out to the fans. And so I was thinking about that. I was like, well, if I was a wrestler, what am I? What part of me can I dial up? So I thought, well, I'm a writer. I'm from England. I'd come out. I think I'd be dressed like Shakespeare. Okay. I'd have like the Shakespeare kind of that thing around his neck, that white ruff thing. I'd have like the quill pen, like a notebook, and I'd come out. I'd speak in that kind of old English. Forsooth, I shall layeth down the smacketh on your asseth. And
I love it. Keep going.
And I would be known as a play on the Merchant of Venice. I would be known as the Merchant of Menace.
Merchant of
You like
Menace.
that?
I
Good.
love it. Play off your last
Right?
name.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. That's great. And there's a lot of tall actors in this film, including yourself. You're 6'7".
6'7". That's right.
Okay, so you have Vince Vaughn, you have The Rock. Who's the tallest of you three?
Okay, let's be honest about it straight away. I am taller than The Rock. All right, I'm 2 inches taller than The Rock, and this is something I like to remind him of constantly. Which I actually think he's very intimidated by me physically.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
because I just tower above him. You know what I mean? And
Y'all work out together, so I mean.
we do a lot of working out. You know, he'll actually use me to do some do some heavy lifting. Yeah, so Vince is huge. I'm very tall, which is nice. It's nice to be around tall actors because most actors in Hollywood are super small.
Right, and speaking of Dwayne Johnson, so this is his element. You know, WWE, this is how he started, his career formed. Did you have a lot of directing to do to him, or did he just kind of like take it and run with it?
I didn't want The Rock to play The Rock. I didn't think he was the man for the job. No, I felt I auditioned him. I didn't think he was convincing as The Rock. I wanted someone like Jason Momoa. Aquaman, I thought he would be much better. No, of course, The Rock was amazing. He not only kind of taught me a lot about wrestling itself, but there's a moment in the movie where he does that thing which you've seen him do in the ring, where he kind of just, you know, they call them promos, where they just, you know, they just attack you verbally, right? They give you a load of stuff. And so I'd written a version of that, and then he kind of looks at it, he's like, goes away in a corner, comes back, just ad-lib this crazy, amazing speech where he's jokingly attacking the kids. He's talking about Harry Potter. He's just doing this thing. Yeah. And it's just amazing to watch. You're just watching this guy who's, from a young age, has been in wrestling rings, just, you know, knows how to do it, knows just how to do that stuff. Just, I mean, you can't even write it for him, you know. He just is who he is.
Right, so he kind of just took the reins and then just went on with it. Off he went.
Absolutely.
All right, Stephen, well, thank you so much for your time this morning. Fighting with the Family is an amazing movie. I suggest you all go see it. It comes out February 22nd right here in Houston. Like I said, it was such a pleasure having you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll see y'all next time right here on Salsa TV.